Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 18 of the Serious Football Heads podcast. As always, with me on my right hand side here is Tom. Tom, how you been?
Hey, I've been good, everybody. And I want to just say I was not sandbagging anyone on my Chargers pick last week. I certainly didn't expect them to come out and beat the Green Bay Packers the way that they did. So anyone that listened to me and didn't take the Chargers and took the Packers instead, well, my fault. My bad.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I went 7-7 last week, and you went 8-6 by my count.
Yeah, I know, and even that is pretty pathetic, I thought. But you look at what happened last week. Indianapolis misses a field goal in the last play of the game, loses. Kansas City makes a field goal in the last play of the game and wins. There was another game that came. The Raiders have a goal line stand at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Those three plays, those three situations, altered everybody's picks. And as far as I know, I think Bruce Murray went 9-5, and that's the best I heard from last week because it was all over the place.
It was a crazy week. I mean, just look at the Seahawks game. That game should, by all standards, should not have been as close as it was. Yet, being there and watching it, I was pretty miffed, to say the least.
Well, at the same time, though, I was going to say that was an exciting game to go to.
Oh yes, it was.
They did happen to win it, but but yeah, I agree. I didn't think that should have been anywhere near as close. But that last drive, the first drive in overtime, I mean, all our games were over. And actually, I was in Bellingham, so it's like sitting at Buffalo Wild Wings, and so suddenly every screen in the place is on the Seahawks, overtime run, and we get caught up in it. We're sitting there watching it, and finally they win. Everybody's screaming, yelling, okay, good. All right, come on, we got to go to the airport. We're driving to the airport, and I look at the clock, and I went, is it really 10 minutes to 5? My wife says, yeah, why? I said, I think we take off at 5:15. And fortunately, we were literally across the street and rushed in. There's nobody, literally nobody in security. We walk on, as we came in, they're waiting for you at security. So we go through security. We rush down the hallway. Last people on the plane. They held the plane for us. They closed the doors and off we went.
That's cool.
Yeah, and as I was approaching, they were all looking at me with those stern looks, and I went, Seahawks went into overtime. It's not my fault. And everyone gave me a pass.
That's a valid pass in this area of the world. But yeah, it was a wild and crazy weekend all around. I mean, my best friend and I were sitting there looking at scores as the game was being played, during TV timeouts and whatnot, and it was just crazy. It was just a crazy week all around.
Well, I'll tell you, I always talk about good teams being efficient and consistent. And the Chargers came out and played the most efficient game they have played all season long. I kind of felt like we went back in time, and this was the team the 12-4 team from last year was playing. They made minimal mistakes. They had a running game. They were throwing the ball well. Every element of their game was working. And finally, the defense stopped the run, and Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram, were blowing up Aaron Rodgers. And it was astounding. I mean, it really was. Now, we'll see if they're consistent tonight when they play the lowly Oakland Raiders. And I say that pretty directly. But we'll see what happens. And this team, though, it seems to get a mentality that when it clicks and it finally figures out what they're supposed to do, they just start doing it. It's Anthony Lynn's third season. He started 0-4 his first season. They ended up 9-7. Last year, they lost. They started 0-2 last year and ended up 12-4 because they just figured it out earlier. And they didn't have the devastating injuries last year that they have this year either.
Yeah.
But we've got Oakland tonight, and then we've got a big break because we play in Mexico City a week from Monday. So it's kind of like a mini bye, and then we have a bye after Kansas City. At that point, I think Derwin James is coming back, and Adrian Phillips is coming back. We're going to start getting all of these guys back onto the field, and maybe we'll have a semblance of the team that I think we really have.
Yeah, I was actually watching the playoff predictions on NFL.com earlier this week, and they were talking about the teams that are currently, if the playoffs started, Tuesday, this is where we would be.
Right.
And the Seahawks have the toughest strength of schedule remaining out of all of those teams.
Yeah, I heard that too. Oh, I heard that too.
That doesn't bode well for us. Although the first game on the match is
this is the weekend right here for the Seahawks, and going to San Francisco is going to be a real test for them.
Yeah, if we can go in and beat San Francisco in San Francisco, then I won't say we will coast into the playoffs, but I think we'll have a better shot of solidifying our worthiness to be in the playoffs. And if we beat them again in Week 17 in Seattle, I think that will just help out. I mean, I'm not saying that if we beat them, the 49ers are going to go, and lose out the rest of the way, or, just barely hold on to the division.
Well, they're not going to go undefeated. I mean, let's just accept that. Now, if they do, it's a huge coup, but it's only been done regular season twice in the history of the league. So I'm going to say they're not going to go undefeated. I was about to say that if they are undefeated when it comes to them going to Seattle, that's the bet to take, because Seattle I think does beat them in their own building. But now that it's Week 17, that doesn't mean quite as much, because Indianapolis did this 10 years ago or so, where they were undefeated and then they pulled Peyton Manning.
The last 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, we're going to rest them. We don't care about being undefeated. We want to be going to the playoffs. San Francisco might very well do the same thing. Although, I don't know. You get that close, you kind of want to just keep playing your guys.
Yeah.
And not mess with their rhythm. Then you're in the same conversation about, is the bye a good thing for you or a bad thing for you?
Yeah, when you have your bye week, yeah.
Yeah, so that time will tell on that. But it's going to be an exciting time in San Francisco. It's going to be a fun time tonight as the Chargers go into the Raiders, wearing their powder blue shirts, by the way, which will be fun. I've always thought that in certain circumstances, it would be a really good publicity thing for the league to wear home and home jerseys. They do it in the UCLA USC game every year.
Yeah.
They got the powder blue and the maroon jerseys, and they both wear their home jerseys. And there's a lot of instances that I think that would be really fun in the NFL. Like, I think it would be great. I hope the Raiders wear black tonight, because, that'd be a great look for the powder blues and the black. You could do it with Kansas City. If Denver was in their orange with the Charger blue, that would work. Obviously, if the jersey colors are similar, like, the Panthers and the Saints both wearing their black jerseys, doesn't work. You can't do that. But, I always thought that would be a fun little publicity thing to do and give the league a little different look without going to, fluorescent lime.
Hey, now, calm down. No, I agree with you. I would love to see that more often, because, the Seahawks blue is different than the Broncos blue, but they are similar in color. But
and you wouldn't want to do that. But if they wore their orange,
or if we wore our green and they wore their blue, But exactly. I think part of it stems from the fact that in the NBA was kind of the first to start officiating based on the team's color, not what play they were playing, because in the NBA, you're playing basically Iron Man style. You're playing both offense and defense,
right?
And so it was easier to say, rather than saying defensive player, because when the ball changes hands so quickly, it's easier to say color. I think that all the major league sports.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with this.
Stuck with this, two different colors, so that way it makes it easier on the fans. You know?
Do you know why they went to home and away jerseys?
No, I don't.
Back in the day when they first started televising the games, it was in black and white.
Right.
And watching the TV, if you had someone in red and someone in green, it all looked gray. You couldn't tell the players apart. So they put the visiting team in white jerseys and the home team in their home colors. But on TV, it looked like white and gray.
Yeah.
And you could differentiate between the two. Certainly that's not a case now. I mean, now you can tell if there's a thread loose on one of the numbers.
Yeah.
With the 4D and all that other stuff. 4G stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
So, but that's how it started anyway.
So the Dolphins got their first win.
My age. Yes, they did. And that's one of the games I won, as a matter of fact,
Yeah, it
because I
was.
did pick the Dolphins. It's interesting to see, what's going on in their mind, because they dropped from first overall pick to the fourth. Now, no one can accuse them of tanking anymore. At least the team members, the guys on the field and the coaching staff can't be accused of tanking. I think the front office still, there's a pretty strong case to be made because of the way that they've traded everyone away. And granted, they've got all of these great picks, but now they got to use them to replace the guys they lost. So, but I thought that was a really interesting turn of events, as it were. And Sam Darnold is just playing awful right now. He came back from that illness and had that great game, and then has been abysmal since. I think he's probably played worse than any other quarterback in the league right now since since his return. And I don't know what happened. He just took a giant step backwards. It might be that it just it's taken him that long to get his mind back in the right direction. But boy, what a letdown he has been after that first game back.
Yeah, and it's been almost a full season since the Dolphins last won a game, Week 14 of 2018. So
yeah,
Wentz has had a passing TD in 12 straight games, tied for longest active streak.
Who's that?
Carson Wentz in the Eagles game. He's had at least one passing TD in 12 straight games.
They're another crazy team.
Oh, didn't you take a loss on that one?
I don't remember. Probably because they're crazy. Yeah. I don't know how to pick them. And I hear that a lot, actually. I hear it with the Titans, hear it with the Eagles. I hear it with Tampa Bay. You don't know how to pick them because you don't know what they're going to do. They've got all of the weapons to.
You picked the Eagles in that one.
To win consistently, but at the same time, they're coin flip teams. So, and then Nick Foles is coming back for Jacksonville, and I pretty much figured they have to play him because they haven't seen him. He played a half a quarter when he got hurt.
Yep.
And Minshew came in and he's played great. Went 4 for 4 as a starter, but playing really well and has a real grasp of hanging in that pocket. But at the same time, you're paying Nick Foles $80 million. He's got to get on the field, and you got to see what he is. So there's a lot of pressure on him right now to come in and perform brilliantly.
Yeah.
Not adequately, but brilliantly. And Nick Foles as a starter has never done that. So we'll see what happens down there. And then
the surprise of the week was the Patriots losing to the Ravens.
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, I know we both picked the Patriots, but we had this discussion last week.
It wasn't that much of a surprise, but it was a surprise in and of itself.
Yeah, they're not. I was surprised how badly they were beaten.
Yeah.
And I also, as I was watching it, going, Belichick doesn't seem to be really trying here. I just got the feeling that he wasn't using his best stuff. And I started thinking, well, chances are he's going to see this team again in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Why give them, the blueprint on what we're going to do next time around? Let's just play our straight up game. And if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. Nobody's going undefeated. Okay. And I don't think I just didn't get the feeling like he was really trying as hard as he could, to win the game. And, we'll see what happens if they do meet again. And if they do, I would absolutely put my money on New England because nobody beats them twice. And like I said, I think he sandbagged that game.
Yeah, because I was watching the first quarter. I'm like, how the heck did the Baltimore Ravens go up 10-0 on the Patriots in the first quarter?
With that defense.
Exactly.
Best defense in the league. And you know how to stop him. You know how to stop Jackson. I mean, the Chargers, wrote that script last year. And, and granted, I have to say, I know when we started the season, I had no faith in Lamar Jackson at all. He just mostly because of his passing, and he has improved drastically as a passer in the NFL. He still runs too much for me. And as we say every week, we're one ACL away from the Ravens, dropping out of the race. So, and he just keeps doing it. So we'll see how long it lasts. It's been not quite a full season yet since he started. And usually they go a season and a half and before somebody catches him and blows him up, and there you go. Yeah. And then what was the other one? Cam Newton to IR finally.
Yeah.
As everybody has said, why didn't they do that a month ago?
Yeah.
And Kyle Allen had a great bounce back game last week from the San Francisco debacle.
Yeah.
Which speaks, in my mind, speaks volumes to who this guy is and where his head is at and his mental toughness to be able to come back and perform the way that he did. So kudos to him.
They may have found their Cam Newton replacement, and I hate to think that they were looking for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
totally agree.
But the way he's been since the Super Bowl loss, you can't blame them for doing that. So.
I saw a list in the LA Times yesterday of quarterbacks that'll be free agents or possibly moved next year. There were 9 of them. All, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Teddy Bridgewater, Cam Newton might be available, for in a trade. Who else? Jared Goff. And like I said, there were 9 of them that are, and granted, I would expect 90% of them to get re-signed to their own team. In Brady's case, there are rumors of him coming to the Chargers, which is just ridiculous.
I wouldn't buy that for all the tea in China.
Brady might, Brady, Breeze, and Rivers all have the option to retire. I don't see Breeze retiring. I could see Phillip Rivers retiring. He doesn't have the same. I mean, I also heard he's having another child. That'd be 10. He's going to be exhausted.
Have to keep playing until he gets carted off the field.
Yeah, just to get him out of the house. Sorry, honey, I can't. I have to go to practice. There's that. Brady has said that he, like his hero Joe Montana, he sees the possibility of ending with another team. Coming to California, and he's put his Boston house up on the market. But maybe he's just getting to, he keeps saying 45, but he's 42. That's pretty close, and particularly if they win again this year. I'd be hard pressed if, to try to come back, or I'd be looking for another challenge, to see if I can do it someplace else. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't expect any huge surprises in the offseason as far as quarterbacks go. There might be 1 or 2, but I just, I wouldn't be surprised if Cam Newton gets traded. Teddy Bridgewater is going to get a big deal someplace. I don't see Phillip Rivers playing anywhere else. If he wants to play another year or 2, it'll be with the Chargers. If he does that, then there's no way Brady would ever come. So that's just pretty much, it's kind of like everything else these days. There's somebody says something that gets blown out of proportion, and then, there's all this speculation, and then nothing happens, like at the trading deadline, So we'll wait and see what happens, and certainly that'll be a discussion as we get closer to the end of the season.
Yeah, the trading deadline, the Seahawks are kicking themselves for not getting another tight end.
Yeah. And the Chargers made no trades at all. And we have defensive line issues, and Michael Bennett goes to the Cowboys for a 7th round pick. We could have made that trade. We should have made that trade. That would have been a great boost for us to bring in a guy like that to fill out the year while all these guys are hurt. So, but they did absolutely nothing. They keep putting, this week was the first week all year long we have not put anyone on IR. We got 2 guys that are out, 2 starters that are out, but we didn't put anyone on IR yet. So, but and then this the way the schedule works out, we got a good opportunity to rest and, get people healthy. We got all this time before a week from Monday, and then we get the bye week. So, literally we're only going to play one game in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really good for them. And if they come back and we get Derwin James back and Adrian Phillips, and it's going to be a different team that comes back after the bye. So anyway, So where do we stand pick wise? I'm now up 3 games.
No, you're behind me by 1 game right now.
I thought I was ahead 1 game last week.
No, you were behind 2. Here, I'll even pull up the sheet here. Where is it? Because I have you after I updated, because I did have that one week wrong where I had you at like 9 and you were actually at 11 or whatever.
Yeah, how did that happen?
I miscounted. That's what it was. I just miscounted.
I feel like Brady Quinn all of a sudden talking to Bruce Murray.
You're at 84 wins, 50 losses, 1 tie, which puts you at 0.62222. I'm at 85, 49, and 1. So
okay,
1 game.
All right.
If I had lost 1 more game this week, we would be tied.
Okay, then I'm going to pull out all the stops then, and I'm going to pick the Chargers for tonight.
Well, I want to bring up one last thing though about this last week. And
damn!
Have you ever
I showed my hand early?
Have you ever been at a game where you think something happened one way, and then you go back and watch either the TV replay or you go on NFL Game Pass and watch it again, and then you see what you missed because of how far away you're sitting?
Yeah, it was the 2006 playoffs with the Patriots. Every time I go back, we still lose.
Yeah, that one will haunt you for a while. Well, I was watching the Seahawks game, and about mid-third quarter, the Bucks punted to us. Lockett got the ball, and he fair caught it. And then all of a sudden, a player comes right up, literally like that close to him, and Lockett falls down. So in the stands, we're all looking at it as he was hit, from our angle perspective.
Right.
He was hit. I'm like, why didn't they call this? Why didn't they call this? So I got on and checked it out Monday after work and everything. Went back and looked at it. I'm like, oh, yeah, he literally just only got like that close.
Right.
So it was one of those things where looks could be deceiving.
Well, particularly when you're in the stadium, you only have one angle to look at things. Unless they replay it, which why would you replay a fair catch?
Unless there was a blatant penalty that was missed.
Yeah. You're not going to, they're not going to show it, and you're not going to get the opportunity to see it right. So that's an understandable situation.
Yeah, it is. And it's just funny, the mindset of a fan, even trying to do this as unbiased as possible when I can. When you're in the stadium, that just goes out the window,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there are times where I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a blatant hold on us. I know what that flag is going to be. Or it was offensive pass interference or whatever. But at the same time, it's like the fandom of me wants to say, no, that wasn't the case. So I've already pinned you in for this week's pick for Thursday night's game.
Yep. And like I was saying, if they maintain that efficiency that they had last week, they can easily win this game. And we're just going to have to see if they do it. And I'm kind of at the point where if they do it, if they win, and that'll be 3 wins in a row, I start readjusting all of my thinking. Okay, we could end up 11-5. Sure. Okay, 10-6. 10-6 still would get us a wild card, I think, in the AFC right now, depending on, who we beat along the way. So if that happens, that's where my heart goes, and that's where my head will follow. If we lose, I'd just as soon lose as many as we can and get into the top 10 of the draft so we can draft the heir apparent to Phillip Rivers. And there's a lot of really good college quarterbacks coming out this year. So tonight will determine my outlook for the rest of the season. The thing I don't want to do is go 8-8. I don't want to go, 7-9.
Yeah.
And end up in the, around 15 or 16 in the draft, because then we're going to have to trade up. If we fall in love with somebody, we'll have to trade up to get them. Or as Telesco usually does, just sits there and hopes that Derwin James drops to us at 17.
Yeah.
And that already happened once. It's not going to happen again. So,
what do you mean it's not going to happen again?
Oh, it just doesn't happen. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, not to say that there aren't lower first round picks that do very well, but there's not a guy that's expected to go in the top 5 that drops to 17. Just an oversight,
Where did everybody have DK Metcalf at the beginning?
He wasn't in the top 10.
No, I know. He was in the top 20 to start the draft, and then as people started talking to him and whatnot, he went lower and lower to the first round, down to like 32, I think, and we ended up getting him in the second or third round. So yeah.
Yeah. So so anyway, so tonight's a kind of pivotal game for me emotionally to see which direction I start pulling, because like I said, I don't want to be 7-9 or 8-8. I want to be 5-11, or I want to be 11-5.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And we still have 2 games with Kansas City. We still have Minnesota. We got another game with Denver, 2 games with Oakland coming up. So the chances of us being 8-8 are far greater than they are of being 5-11. But that's just the one way I would not want to see the season go.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. It is.
So who are you taking tonight?
I'm taking the Chargers as well. I don't think the Raiders can pull that back the way they did last week, making that stand. But they are going to play you tough because, again, it's an in-division game. We always play our division rivals a lot closer, a lot tighter.
Yep. And
Oakland has 24-plus points in the last 5 straight games, the longest active streak right now. So, food for thought.
See. I'm not comfortable about this game in terms of us winning, but I can certainly see if, like I said, if we play efficiently the way we played last week, we should win this easily. If we don't, we don't stand a chance.
Yeah, I would. And just a little food for thought. Just remember, there are 6th-round quarterbacks that come out every once in a while that put on a show. So,
yep.
One recently is this last year.
So, there you go. All right, I got on Sunday at 10 a.m. Chicago and Detroit. Detroit at Chicago.
Yep.
What are you thinking?
This one's a toss-up, really, because the way I look at it is it's 2, 3, and 5 teams basically. I mean, you could make the argument that it would be a 4-4 and a 3-5 team with the Lions, but the Lions have kind of let down themselves over the last few weeks. I think last week was a aberration because I think they won last week, right? No, they lost to the Rangers. That's right.
Yeah,
they've just kind of been letting themselves down ever since the trading of their defensive captain. So I'm gonna go with the Bears on this one at home.
Well, I look at the way Trubisky has been playing, and he's been taking a lot of flack for it. So I did a little bit of digging, and he deserves all that flack. He has been playing horrifically. Not as bad as Sam Darnold, but really poorly. And you turn it around, you look at Stafford on the other side, and I think that's going to be the difference right there, is just in the quarterback play. So I will take the Lions on the road. And there's our first disagreement right off the top. My way back, steaming my way back to that one game that I'm behind.
Well, I do have the home point spread available to me at 2.5 favorites for Chicago. So really a wash.
Yeah. All right. Baltimore and at Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm just going to chalk that one.
Anything to say? Yes. Okay. Let's move on, because it is Ryan Lindley's first game. Okay, so there's a little bit of change there. There might be a spark for Cincinnati, but it's his first game, first start as an NFL quarterback against the Ravens. And
I'm going to tell you right now, the Ravens defense is not the 2000 Ravens, obviously, not even the mid-2000s Ravens when they went to the Super Bowl with Flacco, but it's pretty close. They're playing very well.
Yeah, so let's just move on, because Cincinnati, what can you say? All right, Buffalo at Cleveland. Here's an interesting game.
This is an interesting game. Buffalo has not allowed a 100-yard receiver this season and is the only team to do that so far this year. The Browns, I don't think they're just not playing up to their potential, and they really I wouldn't say they would be a 6-2 team, but they could easily be a 5-3 team right now. The way they play, they kind of get in their own minds and let the faults fly the way they do.
Yeah, I think there's an element of disarray in Cleveland right now, and you listen to Freddie Kitchens, and he's almost got his hands on it. He's almost being able to pull it in and make everything work, and and then Mayfield says something, and someone else says something, and off you go. And I do expect that at some point these guys are going to turn themselves around and suddenly start playing like everyone thinks they should play, and they end up 7-9. Which won't do them much good, but they could very easily end up in that situation. I don't know that it's going to be this week. They are at home.
Yeah.
The Bills are coming in at 6-2. They are playing really, really well. Josh Allen is playing really well. Defensively, they're holding their own. So I'm gonna take Buffalo in this, although I do so hesitantly because I do think the Browns are conceivably about to make a move.
Yes, I agree with you. I'm also taking the Bills in this one. But just as a little food for thought, 4 weeks ago when Seattle went into Cleveland, it was Seahawks winning on basically a last minute play, 32-28. Just a 5-point win. I mean, that's not
right. And I know you expected more from that game. But you also tried to change your pick on that game, if I remember right.
Well, yeah. Well, my best friend.
You had some statistic about Seattle going east to play the AFC.
No, that wasn't it. That was not it. That was not the reason why I was trying to change my pick. My best friend, up until this season, every time he's gone to an away game for the Seahawks have lost.
Okay, well, there you go. Another really solid thing. Fortunately, I didn't let you change your pick, and you won that game. So.
And just to give you an idea what some of the odds makers are thinking, the Football Locks has Cleveland at 3-point favorites, so just the home advantage. That's it.
Yeah, and like I said, they're ready to pull everything together, and it's kind of important that they do. I mean, Cleveland has historically had no patience with coaches. Rob Chizzinski, was one and done. You go all the way back to Belichick, and that's different ownership.
Yeah.
And he only had 2 seasons, I think, with them. I would hate to see that happen to Freddie Kitchens. I think that he is, he's a first-year coach, and he's learning as everyone else is. And if they can pull stuff together toward the end of the season, I think everyone will be fine. But if they're still in total disarray, and end up, 4-12, then there's going to be some issues in Cleveland. So anyway, so we're both taking Buffalo. Next, I've got Kansas City going to Tennessee, and it's looking like Patrick Mahomes is going to play. To me, I don't think it would even matter. Tennessee has played, again, I've been picking them wrong consistently all year long. They've won a couple of games by luck. They beat the Chargers because they couldn't pick up a yard at 1st and goal. At the end of the game, they won on a field goal. I remember not too long ago. They won last week, but it's still Kansas City going in. And Kansas City's defense has been playing much better than they were at the beginning of the season. If Patrick Mahomes is back, I think that solidifies it for me. Even if he's not back, I will take Kansas City.
I'm taking Kansas City too, but just to give you a little food for thought on this, Tennessee is averaging 23.3 points per game with Tannehill as a starter, whereas with Mariota, they were only averaging 16.3.
Because Tannehill is a quarterback. How many times do I have to say this? I am the only one that likes him, although I think that's changing. I think the bandwagon is open and people are jumping on board. But if he stays healthy, he's going to really help that franchise.
Yeah.
All right, so we're both taking Kansas City. Then we have the staunch Atlanta Falcons traveling south to the New Orleans Saints. I think this is another one of those games we can just kind of say, hey, Drew Brees is back. Let's pick the New Orleans Saints and go on.
Yep, I'm picking the Saints too.
Yeah, because I don't even have anything to talk about with Atlanta. So just move on.
Again, it's a division game, so don't be surprised if the Falcons win. That's the only thing I would throw in there.
Yep. Next, we have the Giants going to the Jets. I understand they left early so that they could get there and acclimate to the environment.
Yeah.
And God, Sam Darnold is just so totally confused and lost out there right now. The whole seeing ghosts thing has come back to haunt him.
Yeah.
And I can't. And Le'Veon Bell, who hasn't been playing well anyway.
No, he hasn't.
Just had the MRI. I guess he's got a sore knee or something, which isn't going to help him. But I'm going to take the Giants in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to take the opposite home team. Again, the Giants here for this, because it's like, how do you pick this game?
Yeah, it's somebody's going to win. But it just Daniel Jones has been playing so much better than Sam Darnold, and he's got a better supporting cast with Barkley in there, and what's his name? The wide receiver's not going to play. Sterling Shepard. He's not going to play. But even so, I just think offensively the Giants have a much better team than the Jets do.
Yeah, the Giants have the better overall team out of these two, so that's exactly why I'm picking them.
So that takes us to Arizona, traveling all the way to the East Coast to play the most inconsistent quarterback in the league in Tampa Bay.
Who by all rights should have won last week, but just he was going against the best quarterback who should be in the top talks about MVP for the season this year in Russell Wilson. I think if they were playing any other team last week, the Buccaneers wins that game.
Yeah, and again, in his inconsistent fashion, that says he's going to throw 4 picks this weekend. And Arizona, but on the other hand, Arizona has been playing much better than I anticipated. Kyler Murray is maintaining a good sense in the pocket and controlling the game from there. He's running when he needs to instead of when he wants to. He's a much more accurate passer than I anticipated him being as well. And they're what are they 3-5?
3-5-1 right now.
Yeah. So they're playing okay, and they've been in the other games. I don't think they've really been blown out yet this year. So
I think their only blowout was like week 1, I think.
Could be, yeah. So I'm going to pick the Arizona Cardinals going in to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Where's your hat? Where's your hat? It's right under your Buccaneers. Boom, boom. Thank you very much.
No, I have that. I'm going with the Cardinals as well on this one, and it's hard for me to pick them in this because going east or west to east with an unproven team is, and when I say unproven is they haven't gotten over 500. They haven't shown us that they can truly dominate other teams. And let's see, when was their first win? Like week 5, I think. Yeah, week 5 against the Bengals. And they won by 3 points. They lost by 3 points to the only undefeated team in the NFL right now last week. So that tells you something. Granted, again, division opponents and all, but the closest thing to a blowout they had was the Seahawks 27-10, from what I'm seeing.
And and a lot of people point to that Arizona game for San Francisco last week as being the first chink in the 49ers armor. But like you said, it's a division game, and they always, particularly the NFC West, it's like every game's a toss-up when it's in division.
Yeah.
So that wasn't surprising that they played as well as they did, and that's why I'm picking them going into Tampa Bay.
Exactly. That's why I'm picking them to win too, because again, Tampa Bay hasn't played consistently at all this season, so they played so well this last week. I kind of think they're going to blow it. Now they could surprise me. So,
yep.
The last morning game that I have, is it a morning game or is it an afternoon game? That's weird how they have this structured here. I have the Panthers and the Packers.
That is in the afternoon, 1:25 p.m. on the West Coast.
Yeah, that's weird.
Carolina going into Green Bay. I would be tempted to pick Carolina in this game if the Packers hadn't been so embarrassed last week. the fact that they played as poorly as they did against, the 2-5 Chargers, or whatever they are, they're 3-5. They're 4-5 now. So 3-5 Chargers,
Yeah.
and they were dominated. They were just absolutely embarrassed. So that to me is a significant factor in going into this game. Aaron Rodgers said afterwards, he said, we just weren't ready. We weren't ready, and we embarrassed ourselves. They outplayed us, and his focus is, that's not going to happen again. Yeah. So I'm going to pick the Packers over the Panthers. Although I sure like the way, Kyle Allen is playing.
Yeah.
And I love the way that their defense is playing. And I think it's going to be a really tight game, but I'll take Green Bay at home.
Yeah, I'm taking Green Bay at home too, because they're really good teams that get drubbed like that by, for lack of a better term, a poor team.
Yeah.
They come back with a vengeance the following week, and you don't want to be that team that faces them.
It's like, and I'm sure that when Carolina finished play, won last week, and they were all happy, and they're looked up and they see Green Bay getting its butt kicked in LA, and they just went, "Oh, come on, give us a break."
Exactly.
It had to have been like that. So
yeah.
All right. So next one I have is Miami going into Indianapolis.
Shall I pin you in for the Colts?
Yeah, it's again another one of these games. Brissett may or may not play, but I don't think it matters. Brian Hoyer can certainly cover that position over the Dolphins. Although the Dolphins definitely have been improving, and they're still fighting and they're still playing. They just don't have all the personnel they need. And I thought it was pretty funny, actually, that they traded Kenyon Drake, who goes to Arizona and puts up like 110 yards.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they have Kalen Ballage, who had a brilliant moment in his sophomore year at Arizona State, where he scored 7 touchdowns in one game and has done nothing since, except he did get drafted and he has been playing in the league, but he's a totally mediocre running back. But they're still trying. They're still out there fighting, and winning last week and dropping out of that number 1 overall draft pick says a lot about the character of this team. And I don't think that should be taken lightly.
No,
I just think Indianapolis is a much stronger team all the way around, with or without Jacoby Brissett. And so
it's in Lucas Oil Field, so I mean,
so I got to take the Colts. And as a matter of fact, where to be doing? Oh, according to Yahoo, 98% of all participants are taking the Colts to 2% of Miami. So
those must be paid for votes for Miami.
Well, it's like me picking the Chargers every week, So those are the guys. What do we got next? Pittsburgh and the Rams. The Rams going into Pittsburgh.
Shall I pin you in for the Rams?
Yes. Although I don't know that it's going to be. I don't see this as a sure thing. Rudolph has had his ups and downs, and it's, he's struggling, he's learning, and playing okay. He's got the team playing okay. The team itself this year, though, just seems to lack identity for the Steelers. They were so quiet during the preseason and seemed really focused, and then they came out and they got their ass kicked against the Patriots, and it's been, all over the place ever since.
Yeah.
They came into LA and beat the Chargers with the backup, which was one of those 3 or 4 games the Chargers lost that you just shake your head and go, they shouldn't have lost this game.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have, but they did. But they're not. I just think the Rams overall are a stronger team. There's, Goff's not playing as well as he did. Gurley's not running as well as he has in the past. Defensively, they're not quite as strong. Darnold is still Aaron Donald is still dominant, of course, but they've got, they've had some issues that they haven't had in the past, which, you talk about Super Bowl hangover, and they're just not quite the same team they were before, but still, I think they're not quite is better than Pittsburgh's not quite.
Yeah.
So I'll take the Rams.
Yep. I'm taking the Rams as well. Although Steelers are 7-1 in November since 2017, best in the NFL. They should have had a caveat. That's also with Ben Roethlisberger there the whole time
Yeah,
too.
right.
If Ben was here and there was a 4-4 team with the Rams coming in, I might take the Steelers. But Rudolph just I don't think he plays well against these harder defenses. In Seattle, the way Seattle's been playing, you wouldn't think that they were that great of a defense against the Steelers that like we were. I mean, we held them to 20 something points in week 2, if I remember correctly. Come on, NFL.com.
And that was with Roethlisberger.
Well, for the first half.
Oh, is that the game he got hurt in?
Yeah, that's the game they pulled him in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was we won by 2 points. 28-26. And
so
most of their points came after Roethlisberger left.
Rudolph played well in that game, if I remember right. He came in and picked right up because we were having the discussion about all of the backup quarterbacks, rookie backup quarterbacks that are coming in and playing really well. And he played well in that game. And he hasn't been playing poorly. He just, like I said, the Rams not quite as better than the Pittsburgh not quite. So
because Rudolph went against the Seahawks, went 12 of 19, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And it's that one interception that, gave it to us, basically.
Right. All right. So the last 2 games are the 2 primetime, Sunday night, Monday night, and maybe the 2 best games of the week.
Exactly.
Minnesota going into Dallas. Everyone's making a big stink about how Kirk Cousins plays so poorly in primetime games.
Yeah.
Just the fact that that's been a point of discussion to me says expect Kirk Cousins to have a really good game because these guys, they bounce back like that. They're all such
the problem is that every time they bring up this, he does do poorly in those games.
Which is another just more reason to think that he's going to finally turn it around.
Yeah, well, Dak Prescott primetime wins are 14 primetime games since 2016.
Yeah.
So
and Dallas traditionally plays well in the spotlight. They are playing in Dallas. What's his name? Zeke is playing playing well. Amari Cooper is still producing. Dak has had some really solid games so far coming up this season.
I'll just tell you right now, I'm taking the Cowboys.
Well, that's good because I'm going to take the Vikings. And just because I think that this is the game that Cousins turns himself around as far as his primetime thing goes, but just also in terms of him taking the next step. And I started out the season, I did not believe in the Vikings at all. There was a turning point a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to stick with them because I think they're playing better than the Cowboys are coming into this game. The Cowboys almost got beat last week, except for the last 5 minutes of the game. That was a 1-point game going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And then a series of events happened and they threw up a bunch of points. But if those events don't happen, we don't know what's going to happen in the end of that game. And the Giants are not playing well. And the Cowboys lost to the Jets, almost lost to the Giants. I think that the Vikings are just playing more consistently and more efficiently right now. And so I'm going to take them. So we have another disagreement. So I can now start surging ahead.
You can now take the lead on that one. Yep.
All right. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Monday night game. The Seattle Seahawks travel south to go into the San Francisco 49ers in Santa Clara, California. Any thoughts on this game?
The Seahawks are going to win against the last unbeaten team. And here's why. Russell Wilson in primetime games, 23, 5-1. We have had the 49ers number for the last few years. I think we still do have their number. We've had plenty of game film to watch on them. We have more knowledge of what Garoppolo is. And our defense, I think after last week, has finally gotten the message that we have to start playing better. I mean, I was watching, Pete Carroll was mic'd up for the game last week. He was not exactly happy with the way the defense was playing. So I think his focus this week is going to be on the defense, and we'll see a difference. Plus, we have an extra day to be ready. We're not flying halfway across the country. You know, we're going to be able to go in and play them well. Division rival. I mean, what else needs to be said? It's going to be a 3-point game, in my opinion. It might even be a 1-point game. Whoever has the ball last is going to win, and I think that will be the Seahawks.
Well, I certainly agree with you as far as Russell Wilson is concerned. He's, as you said, he's top of the list of the MVP conversation right now, and certainly a better quarterback than Garoppolo is. I do believe, though, that as a team, the 49ers have been playing more consistently and more efficiently than the Seahawks have. I think defensively, the 49ers, that front seven of the 49ers is just an amazing unit. And they're not undefeated by accident. They have won every one of those games. Some have been tougher than others, but they have won every one of those. And they haven't been making the mistakes that make you lose games that are close, like the Arizona game. They didn't make those mistakes that lost the game for them. So I'm going to take, no offense, but I'm going to take the 49ers in this game. It is in San Francisco. Seahawks, as well as Russell Wilson is playing, the rest of the team is not playing as well as he is. And I can't say that about the 49ers. I think the 49ers as a team are playing really, really well. And their running game is very strong. And again, defensively, that front seven is just they're just a juggernaut. So I'm going to pick the 49ers. You still there?
I'm still here. I forgot I had my mic muted. I don't like drinking
I was
water.
Like, oh my God, did I insult him so badly that he left?
No. You would have to basically, the Seahawks would have to be doing so poorly, and me being such a diehard fan, picking them every week, for me to be insulted by you saying that. But no, we easily as a team, Seahawks could probably be a 4-4 team right now, 4-5 team right now. I can't deny that. But at the same time, we've managed to pull out and win games, yes, because of Russell, but also because the receivers know what's going on too, and they're helping him. I mean, Chris Carson or Penny that ran the ball in the fourth quarter last week and slid like a quarterback, like gave himself up like a quarterback, well short of the first down, and he had more time to run. He had better chance of running out of bounds and could have given us 2 more plays to win in regulation than trying to get a field goal, And no offense to Myers, but I mean the guy has got something in his head now, and because
kicking across the league is just abysmal.
Yeah.
So although there was a kid for the Chargers, Michael Badgley has been hurt all season, and they brought a guy in for like the last 4 weeks, McIntosh. I can't even remember his name. But he kicked really well. He only missed 1 field goal, I think. We had 1 blocked and he had 1 miss. But otherwise, he was really pretty consistent. And as far as I know, no one's picked him up yet. So he's still out there someplace. So
he might be getting a call from the. He might be getting a call from the.
They should start looking at. So anyway, all right. Then where do we got? We got 3 differences this week.
Yep. So whoever gets it is gonna have a good lead, or you have to get 1 on me, so you'll get a 2-game lead. But if I get all 3 of them, then I get a 4-game lead. So,
all right, very good. Well, again, great afternoon or great morning, and everybody have a great weekend. Think of me tonight sitting in the sports bar with my head in my hands, just ringing them and wondering which way my season is going to go. Because if we lose tonight and we go 4-6, I just don't see a good outcome for this season.
Yeah, well, Robbie Gould is expected to miss Monday Night Football.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's got a bad quad.
Wow, that's big news.
Uh-huh. I just happened to flip over to the news side of the NFL.com and saw that. Want to change your pick?
No.
I tried. I offered. Okay. I offered.
They'll just go for it a lot on 4th downs.
Probably will.
So, all right, my friend.
All right,
I got to take off.
Have a good
I will
one.
talk to you later.